Hey everyone, it's Lainey. Welcome back and welcome if you're new. I'm going to be making a masculine card today, a card for him using the Spellbinders Love You die. If you didn't catch last week, I am showing you last week's card right there. Loved the color combination and the pearl embellishments. So I have materials pulled. We have the die, 2 pieces of cardstock, and some ink in the corner. I also want to incorporate Spellbinders Heart and Soul embossing folder. This color cardstock here is in Poppy, and I also have the same color in the ink. But first, we need to create our card base. So I have this 7-in-1 tool from We Are Crafters, and this is how I create my card bases along with my panels. So as this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, I am scoring it at 5.5 by 4.25, and then I will get this cut down to create my card base. You can also use this for 4 card panels as well, now that you can see those score marks. So what I need to do is turn this and cut it at the 5.5 to create our A2 size top folding card in a landscape orientation. If you wanted it in the portrait orientation, you would cut it down at the 4.25. But I'm going to get this cut down right along that score mark, and then you'll be able to see that card base. And for the extra cardstock there, that can be an additional card base or 2 panels, whatever you prefer. For this particular die, I am not going to be using a panel. I'm going to be building directly on the card base itself, and I'm going to be creating a tone on tone. So here I am using that Poppy once more and going to get this cut out in my Spellbinders Platinum 6. That tape that I was using is called Pink Pixie. It's a new tape of mine, but I'm really liking the low tack. It works great with this cardstock and doesn't rip. I will do my best to link it down below. I purchased it from Amazon. I will say that I was recently at Michael's and they had that priced at like $28 for that tape. Just absolutely absurd. But you may be thinking at this point, girl, those plates. So yes, they are about to retire. I have new plates actually arriving tomorrow. I can't believe that I have used those plates for almost a year. They have been well loved for sure, but I need new ones. Okay, so I had that ink out and I completely forgot about it because I moved it off my glass mat. So things are kind of out of order, but I will bring in that ink momentarily. I still haven't realized at this point that I hadn't used it. I have the embossing folder here, and I have to turn it around because at that position it would have debossed instead of embossed. One neat thing that I like about Spellbinders embossing folders is that to emboss, the Spellbinders logo is on top. So here I'm just strategically positioning the letters so I can make sure that those hearts are kind of complete on the letters, and I'm going to run them through 2 at a time. And this is just going to help break up some of the monotony of the tone on tone while also adding a nice creative flair with the hearts and some dimension. I pressed it twice and it turned out perfectly. I didn't really have to create a sandwich with this particular embossing folder, which was a nice change as well. So now you'll be able to see that beautiful detail. I tell you, I am obsessed with embossing folders. I cannot add enough of them to my collection. I use them all the time. So here we have the card base, the love, and the U cut out. That is just on regular black old cardstock, and I wanted to create a line towards the bottom portion of the card base, as you can see in that black cardstock, and I'm just trying to gather my thoughts and kind of see how I want this to be, and aligning those letters on top of that black. And I realized quite quickly that having the black stripe underneath the V is going to cause legibility issues because our text U is in black. And so now putting that O on top, that black is peeking through the O, and I don't want that because I want that U to really be able to pop. So here I have a pencil and I am marking where I want to cut this down so I can leave a little gap there for the U text. And if this is one of the first videos that you're catching of mine, voiceovers are not my jam. This tends to happen when I don't realize my sound is on while recording, and it is such a bummer because I don't know it until I get to editing. And I typically try to get in the habit of checking, doing a test record, but I didn't do that. So that is why I am doing a voiceover. So once more, just positioning my elements to make sure that that is what I like. And I am definitely using the grid system on my glass mat to make sure things are going to be even and aligned. At this point, I am realizing that this tone on tone is not looking the way that I wanted it to because I completely forgot to incorporate the ink. I should have done that in the beginning before I cut down the dye in Love. It would have been a lot easier to manage, but I wanted to bring in the ink in Poppy to create a slight grading effect with the Love text. And so I am moving some stuff off my mat and I'm about to bring in that ink and do just a little bit of ink blending and starting from the base of the letter and just slightly building that ink up to create a slight gradient effect. So now the ink blending is done, bringing back in my card base and the Love You elements. I make another mistake here in a moment once I start gluing everything down and making things permanent. I ended up not aligning the love as well as I could have. The margins on the left and the right side are not even once I get everything glued down. So unfortunately, I have to cut the card base down here in a moment. But I wanted to point out that you can see a little bit of, well, I'm about to cut the black strip down, but once I get this glued down, I wanted a little bit of the black to be on the left side of the L. And once everything is glued down, I have to cut it down right along the L and the E to create an even margin on both sides. So it takes away a little bit of that black stripe, and that is not my original envision for this card. I just wanted to mention that. But I'm going to go ahead and get all this glued down and make it permanent. We are almost done with this card. All right, guys, and that is it. You can now see a little bit of that gradient. If you wanted to add a white piece of cardstock on the inside, you could definitely do that, but writing with a black pen or permanent marker will be just fine as well. And I really like the idea behind this. Like I said, I had to trim it down a little more than I wanted, but I hope this was inspirational to you. And if it was, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. I come out with a new card video every week. The other content that I post are Cricut crafts. I would love it if you join me on my journey of creating, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, as always.